last December, I posted a video about goal setting and the scientific method. In summary, I talked about setting good goals because it was almost New Year's. And then I also made up my own method for motivating myself to follow through on my goals. This method includes making a scientific experiment out of your goals. And I decided to apply it to my goal of going to bed earlier during the month of January. Go ahead and check out the full video, the link is in the description. But now I'm going to present my experiment like a science fair project. My question was, will going to bed at 10 every night help me wake up earlier? I really wanted to experiment with how good sleeping habits or meeting my goal of going to bed earlier would affect me. My hypothesis was, if I go to bed at 10 o'clock every night, then I will begin to naturally wake up at 7 in the morning, having had 9 hours of sleep. Based on general research, most adults need somewhere between 7 and 9 hours of sleep, so my hypothesis seemed reasonable. I leaned more towards the 9 hours of sleep because in general I felt like I've needed more sleep than the average adults my age. As for my experiment, I decided to go to bed at 10 o'clock every night and track my sleep. Now, here's where some human error kicks in. For the first half of the month of January, my sleeping schedule was still out of whack. I usually wasn't going to bed at 10. But during the second half of the month, I got pretty good at going to bed at 10. Regardless, the data won't be quite as impressive because the amount of time I spent on the experiment was more like 2 weeks rather than a whole month. Nevertheless, here are my results. This graph shows when I went to sleep and when I woke up every day in January. You can see that, like I just stated, during the second half of the month of January, my sleeping schedule normalized a bit. The slight differences in the time that I woke up were all in relation to my school schedule. But that also brings me to another slight issue. For the majority of the time, I was using an alarm clock. If you look at the chart, every time there's a dot near the bottom of a bar, that means I used an alarm clock to wake up that day. That happened a lot, so any of the patterns you might see in what time I woke up were heavily influenced by that factor as well. Also, I was trying to track when I naturally would wake up, and since the alarm clock interfered with that, as the month came to a close, I decided to add one last experiment to my project. On Thursday, I went to bed at 10 o'clock again, and then on Friday morning, I didn't set an alarm clock and let myself just sleep until I naturally woke up. I naturally woke up at 9 in the morning. So it seems that my going to bed consistently at 10 o'clock every day for 2 weeks didn't help me automatically wake up at 7. In conclusion, my hypothesis was false. I didn't by any means start to naturally wake up at 7 in the morning. However, it is possible that this experiment would work if I extended the amount of time I spent on it, or if I focused on waking up at a specific time instead of or in addition to going to bed at a specific time. Additionally, there were a few other effects that I began to notice that it would be cool to study further if I wanted to continue this. The biggest one was that as time went on, it became a lot easier to go to bed at 10 o'clock. And then waking up also got easier, but only when I did have an alarm clock set. But in all, going to bed at 10 didn't help me to naturally wake up at 7, so sadly I have to reject my hopeful hypothesis. But on the bright side, at least that means I did science. Because according to some people, like Karl Popper, science is built upon disproving things. Whereas if you're only seeking to prove things, then you're really doing pseudoscience. Shout out to my science class this semester. Well, thank you for watching. If you enjoyed watching this video, then make sure you hit the like button and also subscribe to my channel for more educational videos.